Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Different Lens Podcast. My name is Daniel. I'm your usual nerd. I like games, music, movies, and this is...
My name is Juan Felipe Sierra. I've been in the entertainment industry for the past 13 years. And usually he's the one that introduces the show. He's the one that comes up with the topics, but I thought I'd give this one a crack. So we're going to talk about a topic that it's not very like sexy or it's not very like whatever, but that it's near and dear to our hearts, which is music. We haven't tackled music a lot. And I want to start with kind of like Disney songs. I don't know how you feel about Disney songs. It's been a prevalent life for, most of our lives, most of our childhoods.
Yeah.
So do you think that Disney songs, and especially like movie Disney songs, like High School Musical and stuff, are a good song, or is it just nostalgia?
Wow. Listen, I definitely think that Disney songs carry a huge nostalgia for a lot of us, especially a lot of us are growing up and we get to see these movies. Like as we grow, we enjoy these movies, right? Like the Disney princess era for like a lot of people that are growing up, like early 2000 kids, like the 90s kids, they lived those princesses. Yeah. And so I think it does carry a big nostalgia. But that's not to say that the songs aren't good. I definitely think the songs are really good. There is a lot of music, like there is a lot of movies that have a lot of good music. I don't particularly listen too much. Like I don't particularly watch the movie and I'm like, that song was like amazing and I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life. I'm personally not like that. And I know some people may be like that, but then some other people may be like, I remember every single word by word of that song. What about you?
I think that it's really good music, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of nostalgia goggles when it comes to it. I think that there are songs from, especially way back when, that we remember fondly because we grew up with them.
Yeah.
But I think that there are other songs that are kind of meh, but it's just kind of like, okay, this is the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But for example, I was listening to High School Musical not too long ago, and I was like, dude, these songs are like, they can hit, But for example, something like, music can have such a deep impact on all of us. So songs like, Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame, or I Can Go the Distance from Hercules, or Reflections from Mulan. So all of those songs can have a really deep impact on not only how we see ourselves, but how we see each other, how the character sees themselves. So we spoke about it on our first episode, I believe, how Beto Castillo was saying that musicals, in musicals, the songs should be the culmination of the character's feelings, that it couldn't just be said. It has to be sung, it has to be expressed, it has to be danced, whatever. So I do believe that Disney's really good at making those songs really, really memorable, that to this day, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, we're still like, oh yeah, that song is awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think that for me personally, it's not not just about the movies. I mean, the music too, but the messages that the movies carry are they're so good and they're so strong because they carry so much importance, right, for a lot of us. And listening to the songs on top of the messages that they're trying to deliver makes it so much more powerful.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion, that's how I feel. I just feel like it adds to the power of the message, right? Because Disney for years has shown us a lot of movies that work from family, from traditions, from depictions of environments, of like culture, right? Like one of my favorite films is Coco, which I think is one of the better depictions of tradition, of culture, right, within the Mexican culture. And I think it's a beautiful film, has some great songs, like really good songs.
Remember me.
Yeah. For me, that's one of the best songs.
Yeah.
Mama Coco, everybody. I mean, I think it's really good. And I think also one thing that Disney does is sometimes they cast actors from those countries.
Yeah.
Like Gal Garcia is on that movie. He's Mexican. And I think that's really, really important too, because it adds again to that. Then you hear the songs and it all comes together and it's just hits.
I think something beautiful that is happening nowadays. I know that a lot of the times when we talk about like representation, it's like forced representation or it's like not serviceable. But I think that kind of like casting of people from that country really works because, Aladdin the singers were white people.
Yeah.
And they did an amazing job. Don't get me wrong. This is not trying to knock them for their talent, but it's like, how many white people can go after each different character? Because I believe the same actress was like Mulan, Jasmine, Belle, and like 4 different princesses, just because they could, she could really sing, and she sings amazingly.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where it's like, do I have to hear the same person sing over and over and over again? But
yeah, I think they've done a really good thing of diversifying the castings for some of the for the actors, right? I believe Encanto also casted quite a few actors from Colombia.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I think that's really good because it's bringing some of that diversification into it. And even if it's famous people already, famous singers, I think Maluma is on Encanto, isn't it?
Carlos Vives is
Carlos
on Encanto.
Vives.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, it's awesome that they're bringing individuals from the culture, right, to represent the movie that is about the culture. So, I like that.
And there's one song from Encanto that I give a lot of shit to because of how he sings, and it's Sebastián Yatra when he sings Dos Oruguitas. It's just he tries to sing it so like him, so sexy. He's like Dos Oruguitas and desespera. But like when the song hits, when he's like Ay Oruguita, like it just really lifts.
Like
it
when
up.
it comes to life.
Yeah. It's just the beginning. I always give it shit, and even in Spanish too, with fucking what's his name, Ricky Martin being Hercules and being like, la man. It's just like, bro, that's not the character. I'm so sorry. But yeah, like I think that the Disney songs.
Listen, how hard was this to do, Emile Perez? How fucking hard was it? Sorry, this is a dramatic pause.
Yeah,
bro,
you have
come
to.
on.
No, you have to.
How hard was it?
Yeah, but yeah, I think Disney has been going on a steady stream of good movie that represents a specific country.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see what they pull out next and what country they're gonna represent, because whether it's Latin America or whether it's like things from like Cuba or Jamaica or even like at the other side of the world, something like Africa, like all of the stories from Africa, all of the stories from like way before they even got to the Americas. I think there could be amazing representation when it comes to that, and I think the music could just elevate it so much. Hopefully it's not, again, what's this guy's name, Lin-Manuel Miranda, doing the fucking songs again, because I'm sorry, but I'm tired of that guy.
Okay, so Disney obviously releases a lot of movies with different messages, and obviously, do you recall a movie from India?
A movie, I mean, not India specifically, but Aladdin is Persian.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking India.
India specifically, no.
I think there's a good potential there.
Yeah,
really good potential. I mean, they already do a lot, like the songs and everything that they do in India, like for the Bollywood.
I mean,
really
I
cool.
was about to say, like the live action remake of Aladdin, they had a lot of Bollywood influences. So I think
which
it
is
could be
really good.
Which is well, the influences, yes. The way that they execute it, not so much.
Well, see, for us, right? Maybe we have our own way of looking at it, and we listen to it, and we're like, but I think they're cool. I like Bollywood.
No, Bollywood is awesome. No. Don't get me wrong.
Musicals in Bollywood are actually, some of them are really good.
Like I said, the influences from Bollywood are amazing.
Are you just talking about the movie?
But the movie specifically didn't execute it the way that I thought it was going to make.
But I definitely would like to see a Disney movie centered in India, if they haven't done one already, which I don't think so. But like,
I don't think
like
so.
a Bollywood style,
that would be amazing.
With the songs and maybe connections to, I don't know, maybe like their beliefs or something. I don't know. They could do a lot.
They could really do a lot, and to have people explore the region of, because what do we think of India when immediately like the movies portray as desert, grimy people, the everybody is like has like super colorful clothing, which they do, and everybody's just kind of like with camels everywhere, which like whatever, but I think Disney could really make sure that we see another side of India, a much richer, a much like a grander view of India and their culture and their beliefs and everything.
Could be family. I don't know. This is just an idea. It could be a family from the slums, and how they go through their day to day, and everybody in the slums are so together, because that's kind of how it is, right? Like everybody there is really, really, really together. So it could be an interesting story.
It could be, because a lot of Indian families have a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be the story of somebody that was like the 15th kid and is trying to make a name for themselves, trying to have an identity past their sisters and brothers or whatever.
Yeah.
And to try to reconnect with his roots or with his or with his parents or whatever. So I think it could be a really cool idea. Now, jumping a little bit from Disney, because I think that a lot of the Disney kids could potentially be really good. It's just that they start as teeny boppers and then they go completely wild.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I also want to touch on. And it's like the level of, and trigger warning to all of you. If you've ever lived through this, I am so sorry, but we're going to kind of delve deeper into some heavy topics. But, when we see these kids go through what they went and we judge them because they're crazy, or how could they ruin their lives, or how it's crazy that they want to ruin their lives. It's like we see it from a perspective of we don't know what it's like from their perspective, from having a camera shoved down their face the entire time when they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, like all of their formative years. And a lot of these kids now that a documentary like Quiet on the Set came out, how they've experienced abuse, how they've experienced tragedy, how they've experienced sexual assault, like all of these topics, it's difficult to talk about, but I'm really glad that a lot of these guys from like the early 2000s that grew up in that era are now finding themselves in kind of like a redemption era, kind of like Britney Spears, like Macaulay Culkin, like all of these kids, Lindsay Lohan. So I'm really glad to see those stories. What do you think of that side of it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's very difficult for us as viewers, as the audience, to put ourselves and understand what fame does. It's very difficult to relate to it. It's easy for us to, like you said, label and point fingers and look at the mistakes and obviously bring it up and say, well, this is what they're doing. This is what they have always done. Look at Miley Cyrus. She went crazy. She started getting tattoos. Everybody was quick and criticized. But it's very difficult for us to understand what truly is going on behind the scenes for them, right? Not only that they are being controlled at all times, that they have a schedule, right? And somebody's doing the schedule for them. They have an agenda, and that agenda is always manipulated and handled by someone else other than you. So you get famous, and you think that fame is going to bring you cars and luxury and everything like that. But aside from that, it's more than that, right? It's the people that are trying to manipulate you, trying to make you do things you don't want to do, trying to force you, right, to grow up in a world where like you're always in the eyes of everybody, but you're never alone, truly.
Correct.
And that kind of brings me a little bit into, I kind of want to touch this a little bit further down, but I'm going to bring it into the Bastard Boys manager, Lou Pearlman, right, who was basically kind of the creator, right, or basically the creator for the Bastard Boys, for NSYNC and everything like that. Actually, Britney Spears came from one of the bands that he did.
Right.
But essentially the fact that he was the one telling them what to do the whole entire time. He was that image in the back, always guiding them, always telling them what to do, but essentially always making them sing in front of people, the investors and everything. So they were always being forced into something that they didn't want to do. Overworked. They were probably overworked hours and hours and they had no saying in it. And a lot of these stars go through that similarly.
Correct. And something that has come out recently, and I never used to like Justin Bieber because I always thought he was kind of like an entitled brat.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes, especially like in like 2016 to 2019 kind of era. Where, he would like slap reporters and get into fights and forget his monkey or whatever.
Spit on the fans.
And but I think that recent videos that have come up of like women groping him and kissing him and hugging him very inappropriately, and that never gets said. Because why? Because he's a boy or because he's a man. So enjoy it. So, you shouldn't complain that somebody's trying to have sex with you or whatever. And no, that's not right. You know, he was still a kid. He was still very much a teenager when he got discovered, which that's a whole different topic. But, you know, we saw him grow with us. That's why a lot of kids related to him. But there was a level of abuse.
But that's where it stopped.
Correct.
That was the line where it stopped. We grew up with him. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more. We didn't know anything.
Correct. And now that, like, he kind of turned his life around. He got really into Christianity. He like turned his life into something that he feels that is more positive. Mm-hmm. I really do want to commend the people that have actually want to get him out of that limelight all the time, because it's exhausting. We don't know what it's like to have anything like that. And to a certain degree, I've gotten to have a little bit more recognition, but not to the point where I can't walk out on the street.
Yeah.
You know, Scarlett Johansson recently came out saying, like, listen, if I'm out on the street, if I'm out on the street, I don't want to take pictures. Why? Because I'm not working. I just want to be me. Mm-hmm. And same thing with somebody that, like, because Scarlett Johansson started really young. Same thing like Natalie Portman. Same thing like Macaulay Culkin, that he had his really bad cocaine addiction. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those guys are. Demi Lovato came out saying that she had a really bad cocaine addiction. Lindsay Lohan came out saying that she would go to Studio 54 when she was a kid, when she was fucking 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
If we gotta, and I've heard a lot of people just say, "Oh, you know, you need to have tougher skin." It's like, fuck you. No. Know what that's like.
It's a spotlight that is insane. I mean, I remember because I watched the Last Dance, the documentary of the Bulls and Michael Jordan mostly. And then there's a scene where he talks about saying that the only peace that he felt truly was when he was in a hotel room by himself. Like, that was the only time where he was not surrounded by people, where he was not being harassed, because everywhere he would go, everybody would recognize him immediately. And you know, it's galore of photos, signatures, whatever, you know, everything. Yeah. But that one moment was the one that he shares the most.
Yeah.
Cherished. So I'm assuming it's the same exact thing for these young stars, but even crazier, because as a child, there's a lot of things you don't understand too, right? And it's just, you're just thrown into this world of adults where there's nothing for you to understand, because, I mean, truly, it's like I said, it's a world run by adults, and you're just a piece. Yeah, you're just a tool in it, or a piece in it.
And not only that, you're the main cog in the moment. So there's a wonderful podcast right now that just came out recently with Taliesin Jaffe and Ashley Johnson, who were both child stars. Like, Taliesin Jaffe was in Mr. Mom. He was in The Adventures. Ashley Johnson was in a lot of movies. Like, they were talking about, the podcast is called Weird Kids, and they relate to a lot of those stories of being child actors and having to have, you know, a schedule not only for work but also study. So there were a lot of kids that don't know how to, like, those child stars don't know how to relate to people because they never went to high school. They never had experiences. Their relationships were built specifically for the cameras. So there were a lot of things that they don't know what to accomplish because they just simply grew up in a different era and in a different context. And this is something that I was telling a friend of mine. Well, she's not really a friend of mine. It's just somebody that I know. She's an influencer, but she got really big when she was 17, I believe, or 16. And it was through TikTok dances and stuff like that. And she shared with me that, you know, she was having a fight with her friends. And I told her, hey, listen, are these friends before or after the fame? And she goes, no, this is before. And I'm like, okay, these are the only people that know you for you, that don't want anything to do with you outside of, you know, who you are as a person. This is very romanticized, what I'm saying, because there's a lot of people that are scumbags.
I was going to say, I highly disagree with that.
No, but there is a lot of people that are scumbags that ride the coattails. But if you have friends from before the fame, those were the people that knew you for you.
I agree with you, and I'm going to interrupt you there, because I definitely agree with you, but I think those are the ones that, to a degree, are also going to ask more of you. Correct. Because they're like, I know you. Like, you know me. You remember me when we used to be like kids, when we used to go to high school, when we used to do this. You remember that? And then, you know, they're going to be like, I need some money. I think it happens to pretty much everybody. Every single artist has people that they've known for a while, and they come back and they're like, listen, I'm really tight. Or like even family. Yeah. The uncle that you've never spoken to comes out of nowhere. And it's like, I'm a little tight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal has a great program where he coaches young athletes that they come from the literal slums and now they're earning millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he's coaching them of how to spend properly, what good investments are, how to protect your money, because nobody teaches them how to really make money the smart way and how to keep their money, because you see it's 1,000 stories of athletes that were the top earners at their time and then they went broke. Why? Because either partying or they hung around the wrong people, or drugs, or any sort of bad habits, or gambling. There's a lot of gambling.
I think the NBA has that program now.
Yeah.
Where they have financial advisors for these young
But there's
athletes.
there's a difference between financial advisors from the NBA, who they still get a cut from it, and they still,
of course, they're going to get a cut.
Right? But what I'm saying is, like, they go through their specific programs, which I don't know if it's the best for the athletes or best for the NFL or the NBA.
Better than not having anything.
Better than not having anything.
Because
but I think
you get $1 million, they were going to blow through that.
Right. But I think somebody that is outside of it, like Shaquille O'Neal, is gonna make a better impact because he went through that. He knows how the steps of it are. Because I and not to shit on the NBA and the program, because I'm always a skeptic, but I think those programs are gonna be run by people that have already had millions of dollars for a long time, and they grew up with money, and they're just financial advisors. Somebody like Shaquille O'Neal, he was a basketball player. He knew what it's like to come from the slums and earn millions of dollars. So that's why I'm a little bit more hopeful on that end. So everybody, please, let's practice a little bit more empathy. Let's practice a little bit more care to these people that you don't know them. They don't owe you anything. Just because they entertain you doesn't mean that they owe you anything. And I've had fights with people that, and you've even been part of those conversations, where I have to tell somebody, hey, just because he or she or they are a singer, that doesn't mean that, and just because you paid for a ticket, that doesn't mean that you get to dictate their lives. That doesn't mean that you get to dictate their actions. And that doesn't mean that they owe you anything. I was listening to this singer, Peter, oh my God, Capaldi? No, that's an actor.
Luis?
No. Louis Capaldi? No.
That's one.
Yeah, Louis Capaldi.
The one that has Tourette's?
Yes. He was saying that a lot of the times when he's writing, he's the saddest, because he knows that he has to perform 1,000 times better than if he was just chilling at home. So there's a lot of financial pressure that also skews the art.
Do you remember those times a few years ago? I don't know if they're still doing it, but people were throwing shit at the artists where they were performing, and then they'll proceed to get upset at the artist for stopping a concert. I mean, I understand the other people, like let's say you're sitting in row 400 over there right next to the bird nest, and you're just like excited because it's your first concert, and you see that shit happen, and the artist's like, I'm gone, and then you're like, oh fuck, I just spent all this money, and he leaves. But like, how do you feel about the artists that just took off because they were being insulted? Because that's an insult.
That's assault.
Yeah, that's assault.
That's assault.
And it's insulting that you go in there.
Correct.
You're literally, what you just said, having to go and perform again this song, right? Another night in a row, because tours are crazy. It's like back to back to back to back. It's like they tour one city, and then as soon as they're done, they're already traveling to the next one. So they're tired. They're exhausted, but they're there putting some incredible energy, right? Because they're trying to hype everybody up. And the fact that you throw, or whoever it is, not you, but whoever it is, throws like a bottle of water at them or something.
Or
like
tomatoes.
Come on. How do you feel about that? Like if they just walk out, do you agree with it?
They're perfectly valid in doing so, because at the end of the day, they have to look after themselves first. If they're not at their 100%, they're not going to be able to give you guys 100%.
Should the other people that are watching get a refund?
No, I don't think so.
The other thousands of people are just watching. It's a delicate topic, because all the other people who are not doing anything, who are genuinely going because it's like their favorite artist, and it's like, well, he just walked out.
I think what they should do, like the artist should have a period of grace of like 10 minutes whilst maybe the people are grabbing the person who threw it and maybe holding them down for security to grab them.
Yeah.
Because it is unfair. It is unfair for everybody. It is unfair for the artist, but it is also unfair for like you said, for the rest of the people. But I think there should be a grace period of maybe 20 minutes, 20 minutes, where everything kind of cools down a little bit, and the artist should come out again and be like, okay, I'm going to give this one more try. If anything like that happens again, I am out. Yeah. Why? It gives everybody else the chance to also be on the lookout for somebody that might be grabbing something from their bag or something like that. And this is also part of the responsibility of everybody that goes, because no amount of security is going to be 100% tight. No amount of security is going to be able to withstand thousands of people seeing one person perform.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's also on the duty of every concert goer to please make sure that nothing like that happens. If you want to have a good time, amazing. If you don't like the artist, don't go. Don't spend your time and your money and your energy.
It's just wild to me. It's just wild to me. You pay to be on front row, really close to the artist, for you to throw something. Come on.
And at the end of the day, like, how empty is your life for you to do that? How much hate do you have in your heart to go with that plan just to say, oh, I threw something at buddy, like, wash your ass and do something positive with your life, for fuck's sake.
You know, I really want to see Adele. I would love to see Adele.
Bro, I think Adele would be a fucking amazing show.
She gets so emotional singing her songs. Like, you can tell she wrote them. It come from here. And I've seen her cry, getting emotional when people start singing. I don't know. I would love to see Adele in a concert. I think, I think it's one of those concerts that I'll be like, wow, yeah.
This is something that I've spoken to friends that I have a lot of friends that are musicians, not to that degree at all. The closest one that kind of was to that degree is Josh Keaton. He was in a boy band called No Authority, and he was telling us that, like, a group of us, that it's crazy seeing people sing the songs that either you wrote or you perform or you really connected to back to you. Like, I have no idea what it feels like to write something in the innermost depths of your heart, have thousands of people sing it back to you. That's why
it must be wild.
It must be crazy. That's why I understand completely why Eric Clapton stopped singing Tears in Heaven after, because you know the story behind Tears of Heaven.
No. Go ahead.
So Tears of Heaven, he sung it after his son committed suicide.
Wow.
So it's a song basically honoring his son and saying, hey, one day I will see you again in heaven, but I don't know if you're going to recognize me because I'm going to be old and I'm going to be frail when we see each other in heaven. So it's a very dramatic, heavy, just melancholic song. So when he, like, before that, he had a career of like 15 years, I believe. And with that song, he won his first Grammy. Even though he had such a legwork of such a legendary background, with that song, he won his first Emmy. And everybody requested that song every time they heard Eric Clapton. It was Tears in Heaven. But there was a point where he's like, I just can't. It just breaks me every single time I hear it. It just breaks me every time I have to perform it. So what you were saying with Adele, that's how I think Eric Clapton was. Where the song is so personal to him that no matter how much money they pay him, he's not going to perform it again.
Yeah, I do know that there is another artist that I really, really like, which is James Blunt. He does have a song that he dedicated to his father, right? And actually, E.M. Tongi, which is one of the American Idol winners,
he won
that
song.
Song. And that was the first song he sung. And it was such a touching moment because of the loss of his father, and the fact that the song is saying, like, it's my turn to chase the monsters away, like, sleep.
I am the son and you're not my father. We're just two grown men saying goodbye.
Yes. That song is, I can't imagine how hard it is to perform that song. And I think his father's still alive. But imagine if it wasn't. Like, how much more harder it would be. Put it into your perspective, right? Let's say we are the artist, you are the artist, and you were singing something dedicated to your father or your mother or your loved ones, any loved one. but then you had to do it and do it and do it and do it, and those emotions that you felt the first time because you lost that person, and you had to redo that and relive that so you can perform it just, but you also had to have the energy
Correct.
to bring it into stage. I mean, I think that song is really beautiful, and I can't imagine how hard it's like, you know, like even you listening to it, and you know, my father's still alive and everything, but like I have like a knot in my gut because I'm like, shit, like,
Yeah,
and yeah, you're growing up, and then you're the man now.
Yeah, there's a moment in your life where, you know, your father is gonna be just as weak as you were when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So now you have to become the man to take care of your father. If your father's still around, you know, the balance of life, the circle of life.
It changes, right? The weight that you carry now, it's bigger. Correct.
And that's why I think that, like, and let's not take it too far. I mean, Troy Baker, when if you look at the behind the scenes for The Last of Us, he's talking about a scene that he had to prepare, and he was just not getting it because he wanted to show that he was a great actor, and he wanted to show him fucking, and that's not what the scene needed. And the little girl that acted with him, that played Sarah, she was remembering her grandfather, so every single time it would hit, she would immediately like, just break down. And even when they were when Troy Baker and Nolan North had their YouTube channel, Retro Replay, they invited her, and she was telling that story, and immediately she started crying because you get to that space, and it's painful to be in that space. So again, guys, please, let's show a little empathy. Let's try to understand these people. And if you don't like an actor for what they did to a character, do not threaten them. Do not threaten their life. Do not threaten their kids. You know, you've seen it with like this actress from Star Wars: The Last Jedi, that she quit. I think she quit, or she almost quit acting because people were like threatening her life. Like, why? Like, don't send people death threats. I don't know how much fucking common sense do you need to do that.
That happened even to Abby. From The Last of Us.
Laura Bailey, where they were threatening her 2-year-old son. How fucking moronic do you have to be? And I'm so sorry that I'm getting so agitated, but in my wildest fucking logic, I would never say, oh, you know what? I don't like this actor, so I'm going to threaten to fucking kill him. What?
Nah, I think some people definitely took it too far. And it's scary, right? It's scary because it happens. And also beyond just acting and everything, it happens in anything. Even driving, you know, like the road rage and everything, some people just take it a little too far. But definitely it's very scary that, you know, you're performing, you're doing your job, and somebody's like, I didn't like it, so I want to kill you. Or you did something that a character is supposed to be doing because it's written that way, and then somebody just hate you so much because you're just performing a scene that somebody else wrote, but you're still the one that are getting it's wild. Like,
look, I had a discussion because I hate to re-bring it up, you know, when I talk about this, but I play this character, Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia in Spanish, and I had this altercation with somebody over the phone because they didn't like my performance, and I said that's perfectly fine, but don't tell me to go fuck myself, and don't tell me to like go to hell. Who the fuck are you? You know? And this person was like, no, like you took it out of context. I'm like, all right, what is the context? You didn't like it? That's perfectly fine. Hell, I will fight for your opinion. I will fight for you to have an opinion, even if it doesn't benefit me. Why? Because everybody should have an opinion.
Yeah,
but don't 100%. Fucking curse at me. 100%. Don't tell me to go to hell. And this lady was like, no, like you betrayed my character. I'm like, oh, you made that character? You designed it? You wrote it? You animated it? Like, is it yours? And she goes, no, you know what I mean. I'm like, no, what you're saying is asinine to me. I just gave it the voice and I did the best job that I could. You don't like it? That's perfectly fine. I will fucking love it if you did. But if you didn't, that's perfectly fine too.
Yeah, 100%.
But this lady was like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't mean it that way. And I'm like, look, I think you're more sorry that you got caught. Than you saying it. And I'm fortunate that I haven't had that level of scrutiny, but friends of mine have also gotten death threats because of a fucking anime character.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure as you go into your career and as you continue to work and do what you do, it's inevitable that someone at some point is not going to agree with the way you perform a character, or the actions of that character possibly are going to be falling on you, right? Even if you didn't write it, you're just doing a voice, but they're like, bro, that character was terrible, or that the actions of that character are so fucking terrible. I want to fucking do something to you. And it's sad. But hey, everybody's entitled to feelings. Feel as much as you need to feel, and enjoy everything you need to enjoy. Just respect everyone. But definitely leave us a comment down below on how you feel about some performances. If you have any performance that really get you in your nerves, let us know down below. There is plenty of actors, plenty of singers also who have sung songs that you're just, it gets you in the feels every single time. So just go ahead and let us down in the bottom. But I want to carry on the conversation now into, I kind of wanted to go back into the topic that you were mentioning before. Let's talk a little bit about boy bands.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we've slowly, there was a craze of boy bands for so long, and eventually kind of started dying down a little bit.
For American ones, now it's the K-pop ones.
Right. But it kind of went down a little bit. There was a fever, like a crazy one, like the 2000s and 2010s. It was wild, right? We had Backstreet Boys, NSYNC,
New Kids on the Block. Then we had
Menudo,
One Direction.
But Menudo was like 90s, right?
Menudo was
early
90s, but I mean, Backstreet Boys, they started that's 90s too, yeah. But
I do definitely feel like they kind of died down a little bit. But, you know, growing up, right? And I don't know if anybody can relate to this one, but growing up for us, right, as men, especially at least from my end, I don't know if it was the same for you.
Mine too.
I couldn't listen to boy bands, you know, because you were just kind of like looked at as in, you know, you're a bitch and you're gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay. It's just that's how they describe it. But that's the way, and it gets to you, right? The peer pressure of people thinking and having an opinion on your sexuality or something just because you like something. But, you know, as a child growing up, it gets you.
Correct.
Right? You're just like, oh man, I can't listen to it. But you get home and you're like, dirty pleasures. And then you just play it. But you
like forbidden songs and you're like, baby, you got in my world like nobody.
You just look around like, play some Bastard.
Yeah. Backstreet's back.
But to be honest, I personally didn't listen to a lot of boy bands. Again, partially one of my circumstances is I grew up and I just kind of wanted to have this, I guess, tougher appearance. You know, because you're young, you want to, you know,
be with
get
the
a
ladies.
girlfriend or something, and so you just don't want to seem like, you know,
like a bitch.
Yeah, you like boy bands or you like Justin Bieber. But in any case, boy bands. What about you? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm glad that we've gotten over that stigma for the most part. I think fucking boy bands make amazing music and have made amazing music. Like I'm Backstreet Boys over NSYNC. I know a lot of you are gonna come after me. I don't give a flying shit. But even like some of my favorite songs are from boy bands, like some from Backstreet Boys or Boyfriend from Big Time Rush or
the Jonas Brothers.
The Jonas Brothers. The Jonas Brothers had amazing music. I'm hot, you're good.
That was terrible.
Yeah, no, I know. I can't sing like Nick Jonas.
Clip that, right?
Yeah, of course you're gonna clip that, and I will die on that hill. I don't give a fuck. Stuff like even Menudo, ven, claridad, llega ya, oh my god,
I missed out on a lot of
Súbete a mi moto. Oh my god, nunca has conocido una mortadela. Anyways, I think they make amazing music, and I'm glad that we've gotten over that stigma of being called a bitch just because you like boy bands. Boy bands are awesome, dude. Like they have their place, and yes, they're not like the most giftedly, like musically gifted people, but fuck it, enjoy it. It's just kind of like how you listen to some bullshit song that you're like, I love that song, but it's fucking stupid.
And kind of bringing back the topic that I did mention already, Lou Pearlman, and the reason why I mentioned him and with the boy bands is because again he is basically the founder of the boy band, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC and everything. And obviously, I don't know if you guys know this story. If you don't know this story, there's a Netflix documentary called Dirty Pop. You can watch it. It's the whole entire story of how the Backstreet Boys were basically manipulated, right? But to a degree, see, the thing is, obviously, some of them are saying that Lou Pearlman was a really bad man. And obviously, he was a corn artist, first of all. He did some really bad things. He ended up in jail. He already passed away, but he did a lot of bad things. But to a degree, what he did essentially, just to give you guys, if you haven't seen it, you probably know it, but if you haven't, I didn't. He basically spent a lot of his own money, invested, right, in creating the band, the Bastard Boys, right? Gave them a housing, travel, mansions, all this luxury to show them, to get them to that point. So without Lou Pearlman, without this con man, we wouldn't have the Bastard Boys.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he was like, and there's a quote, and this is from the Netflix show, it says, if somebody comes up with Coke, right, like makes Coca-Cola, there's somebody bound to make a Pepsi.
Yeah, for sure.
So he introduced NSYNC because he was like, somebody's going to make it, so why not?
Might as well do both.
Do it myself and earn on it. So he made NSYNC while Bastard Boys were touring in Germany. And so he brings in that. And again, we wouldn't have NSYNC. We wouldn't have Justin Timberlake. We wouldn't have the Bastard Boys. We wouldn't have even Britney Spears if it wasn't for Lou Pearlman.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing with us all of these thoughts. I know we got a little bit heavy. We usually are more jokey, but I really wanted to have these discussion because, you know, going through the times that we're going through. Yeah, we're going through the times that we're going through. We need empathy. We need that level of care for one another and care for strangers. Like, thank you guys so much.
Yes. Being courteous is free.
Yeah, being courteous is free.
Cost anything. Smile at people and be courteous. That's all.
Yeah. Where can they find you on social media?
You can find me in Dan Valder. That's pretty much it.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
And you can find me almost anywhere as Juan Fe Sierra or Juan Fe Sierra Cortez. Just close us out.
I thought you were leading.
I was, but I got
choked.
lost. I'm sorry. I choked. Mom spaghetti. I choked.
Well, you can definitely find... wow. See, now you're going to make me choke.
Oh
so stay tuned for every Monday at 7 p.m. for episodes. You can also find us in Instagram as the Different Lens Podcast, also on TikTok, where we share some reels of, you know, what we talk about. And, well, we'll see you next week here.
Goodbye.